Australia is home to some of the most beautiful and iconic landmarks, and some of the scariest and weirdest creatures on the planet, not to mention deadliest. So it's not surprising that it has its fair share of urban legends that are equally unsettling. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, we're going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary Australian urban legends. Before we begin, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. Let's jump in. Coming in at 5, Schneider's Alley. Located in Adelaide, Australia, a man known as Dr. Michael Schneider acquired the Clifton Manor in the early 1900s, a mansion located on the 40 acres of land in this picturesque landscape. Who wouldn't be happy? The doctor very quickly moved his wife and 2 daughters in, and for a brief time everything was good. Schneider had a cabin on his land that he used to treat patients. However, rumor has it most of his patients were schizophrenic or mentally ill, and he decided to treat them on his secluded land to keep them away from his family. However, in a bizarre turn of events, his wife and 2 daughters all died due to an unforeseen accident. Schneider went mad, and the cabin was his place of torture where he would work through his grief. However, it wasn't a healthy outlet, with Schneider using the cabin to perform surgeries without any form of anesthesia. Neighbors even reported hearing screams coming from the property, and rumors very quickly spread throughout the town that the doctor was killing and dismembering his patients as a form of satanic ritual. The cries continued, but no investigation was conducted until the doctor died. The police found Schneider in his home with the limbs and bodies of his dead family surrounding him. It is now rumored that the mansion is haunted by Dr. Schneider and his patients, and for those that enjoy fear, you can explore Schneider's Alley, which is now known as Andrew's Walk. But be warned. Coming in at 4, Bodies in the Bridge. The Sydney Harbour Bridge is perhaps one of the most iconic landmarks in Sydney. It's a heritage-listed steel through-arch bridge that carries rail, vehicles, bicycles, as well as pedestrian traffic between the business districts and the North Shore. However, this bridge houses an incredibly dark secret. It is widely known that the construction of the bridge took 8 years to build and resulted in deaths of up to 16 iron workers. These deaths have been recorded in the history books. However, it was not noted that there were actually far more deaths, with another 3 workers losing their lives, with the government covering up and remaining hush-hush about the entire thing. So why exactly did this happen? They were transparent about the 16 lives that were lost, but why not the other 3? Well, the story goes that the other 3 construction workers fell into the huge pylons while building was underway, and retrieving their bodies was deemed too difficult and costly, given that the workers were under immense pressure to complete the project. So rather than delay, they instead decided to leave the bodies embedded in the pylons, where they supposedly remain to this day. If the myth is true, the Sydney Harbour Bridge is actually one giant burial site. Remember that next time you visit it. Coming in at 3, the Satanists of Perth. This may come as a shock to some Australians, but according to many rumours, Perth is home to a thriving community of satanic worshippers. Yeah, fun times. According to reports and speculation, these worshippers come together at Kings Park in the dead of night to perform these devilish rituals, with the group drawing strange symbols, burning figures, as well as having wild, non-stop orgies on the grassy slopes of the mount. And of course, once a year, the coven come together and perform a human sacrifice. According to some theorists, the group does this by hunting down and murdering the local homeless as a means to sustain their power with the devil. Coming in at 2, Sydney's subterranean world. Locked away deep under the hustle and bustle of Sydney's major train station lies a network of train platforms, tunnels, and tracks that were built in the 1920s but were never operational. This was to be one of the first underground stations in Australia. However, the plan to continue work on additional lines was cancelled when the Great Depression struck. The labyrinth of tunnels extends 1 kilometre in 2 directions, from St James Station about 30 metres below Hyde Park and past the Cahill Expressway entrance off Macquarie Street. Now, these tunnels lay unused under the streets of Sydney, which has over time led to some downright creepy rumours and speculation. A few urban legends have arisen, including that of an albino eel that is said to reside in the St James Tunnel Lake, as well as that the underground level was built by marauding first settlers to aid them in their kidnapping schemes. Now, many urban explorers have gone deep into the tunnels, taking disturbing and unsettling pictures that they've shared online. In one explorer's picture, they captured an unsettling picture of Satan with a skeleton cross and a heart on fire, with them stating that it represents hell. Spooky. Would you dare explore this subterranean world? I wouldn't. And finally, coming in at number 1, the burning airman. Back in 1940, a horrible tragedy struck Canberra when a Lockheed Hudson bomber plane lost control and crashed into the woods. The event was a bizarre occurrence considering it was a sunny and clear day with the plane coming into land from a normal flight, before suddenly just nosediving into a field and bursting into flames. It was a terrible incident that was ultimately dubbed Canberra Air Disaster and went down as one of the most tragic events in Australian history. However, it didn't end there. Years later, reports began to come in from local residents who had strange encounters in the woods, with many of them claiming they saw odd lights near the crash site, and many others claiming that they heard the distant drone of an airplane, followed by a loud bang. However, the most terrifying of them all was a local teenage girl who emerged one night from the woods in a fit of terror, claiming that she had been chased by the dead airman, whose spectral body was covered in flames. What was previously a popular makeout spot for kids is now closed, and instead houses a memorial site for the deceased airman. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Did any of these legends scare you? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, as well as which place you would like us to conquer next. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, Top 5 Scary UK Urban Legends. Honeymoon said, I'm always curious how you ended up hosting for Top 5 and what your background is that got you the job. Well, I have a very confusing journey. I went to film school and began as a film editor in Calgary before heading to Toronto. However, the film industry can be a crippling place, so I left my job and became a full-time YouTuber. And honestly, there's nothing I'd rather be doing. David Rosales said, Queen Lucy, may I humbly request Top 5 Dante's Inferno tortures. We see you, David. Keep fighting that good fight. One day I hope we can fulfill your request. Maybe. One day. Des Clifton said, we have the best legend here in the UK. Yeah, she may have moved to Canada, but Lucy is still classed as our own. Shucks, Des. Thank you. I will always consider myself a Brit through and through. Never forget. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. Until next time, see you later.